I never tried to write a book.
I know you.
I've written short fictional stories, in the past. I had an old blog somewhere. Maybe one of these episodes we could pull it up and read some of the old stuff. But I got into literary fiction in my early 20s and would try to write short stories.
Because the one thing I want to say about that, as far as writing goes, is that what's so interesting about writing is that it gives you insight into your own mind. Like, even if you don't want to be a writer or plan on writing anything, I think you should write. Everybody should try to write a short story because it gives you insight into your mind. Because you learn something about when I would write something, I would have an idea for something, and first of all, it would turn out completely different from what it started as. I was so jacked up on this one thing, and I was actually happy how it ended, and it had nothing to do with the beginning. But the other thing is that how your mind looks at something when you take a break, when you're like, no, I need to finish this. This is really, really good. And you take a break, and you're just like, oh, that's stupid. I could just knock that out.
Yeah.
It gives you an insight into, the intensity of what you feel at the moment of something. Yeah. And then you go back to it, and you're just like, no, that was dumb. I could just easily, take that out. Writing is in a very fun way. Not fun way, actually. It's, incredibly daunting, and it, makes you question a lot of stuff. But, very fun way. It gives you a little view into your mind about how fleeting and transitory these big ideas or these things that you have are, and how quickly they can change.
Absolutely.
Because I was as I was writing one short story that I was like, it's going to be about this. Here's the narrative and here's the deeper theme, but it's really about this. I love this deep theme, and then eventually turned into this is a cool narrative. Fuck that. And it was a span of 2 days. But I was so gung ho. I had written 2/3 of it. And I went back to it. I was like, no, we were getting rid of that. And it was so funny. That's good, yeah. That's my mind.
Here's another layer of it. Writing is, it's so fucking important, and it's becoming more important in the modern age. So our attentions are constantly pulled in a million different directions. We've talked about this. I've talked about this a million times. Everybody knows, the attention economy, YouTube, screen, social media, everything's made to keep you addicted and keep you sucked in. And what you'll find is you spend so much time scrolling through other people's stuff, right? Looking at other people's videos they made, listening to other people's podcasts, scrolling through other people's posts. You really genuinely lose. And for young people who've never known anything different, never develop your own voice.
Right.
Literally. You don't develop your own voice, and you don't have the opportunity to, because people don't write. Because, very few people, back in the day before internet and stuff, writing was something that creative people would do much more often, reading and writing. But now with the internet, it's just so easy just to go get lost in, these apps and social media or sports gambling websites or whatever it may be for,
weird that you brought that up.
For anybody. But I'm actually now committing myself to trying to write on a consistent basis. Going back to school helps because I have essays and stuff that I have to write often, and I have fun with that. But for Rev Left, I want to start doing at least once a month a fully scripted sort of investigative piece that I do. Whether that's, not necessarily investigative. It could be about a current event. It could just be something that's on my mind. But to sit down, to write a script, to edit it several times, to try to get the words just right. Because one of the things I love about podcasting, unironically, is when I can put something into such precise terms that, again, like poetry, it evokes an emotional response in my listenership. I think there's lots of people, lots of shows on the left and just across politics, which are analytical, cerebral, heady. You listen to an expert talk about this or that thing and you learn a lot, and that's wonderful. What I've always loved to do with Rev Left is how can I evoke an emotional response? I don't just want to appeal to your intellect. I want to make your heart pump, and I want to make you feel stuff. And to be able to construct words, like a poetry or in an argument or in an essay or in prose or anything, construct words in such a way that you can pull out an emotional response to somebody, or heaven forbid, make somebody cry. That's an artistic accomplishment. If just in using words that you put down and convey to another, you can pull out not only emotion, but such a strong emotion you can make somebody cry. You know what I'm saying?
You take a person that is in a neutral mood, you put this ink on a piece of paper,
Yes.
they look at it with their eyeballs, and they change.
Yes. And when it happens to you, it's a pleasurable experience. If I were to read a poem and it makes me cry, you know?
Oh yeah, I would love to see a
fucking love
movie that would
Absolutely.
so many. Real quick, I was actually talking with one of my coworkers. It's funny. A lot of book people will go. They'll say people that love books go, "This book fucking destroyed me. I couldn't get over it. You have to read it."
Yeah,
They
yeah,
always
exactly.
describe it that way.
You want that depth of
It's
feeling.
amazing that something can impact you that much.
Yes.
That you're just like with your eyeballs.
Especially, just like black text on a white page and just reading, and then that's going to evoke. There's a wonderful book by Murakami called Kafka on the Shore. It's not about Kafka, but it's magical realism. I love Murakami. He's awesome. But that book has a chapter in it, and this is like 20 years ago. I don't know when the book was written, but it's not a new book, like late 90s, early 2000s, and it has a trans character in it. And it's a Japanese novel. It all takes place in Japan. He's a Japanese author. But when he had this chapter where this trans character kind of just talked openly and vulnerably about their feelings on the inside and why they're trans and stuff, and it brought me to fucking tears.
Wow.
And I was reading it in like my early to mid 20s maybe, but just absolutely. And this is not a trans author or anything, but just this insight into humanity and this humanizing of the inner world of somebody who has to go through that in a world that is hostile to them now, let alone back then, you know? And it was just like heartbreakingly empathetic and insightful. And it's like, wow, that's a literature. You know, that's fucking literature that not only provokes emotion, but puts you in the shoes of somebody that you would otherwise never be in the shoes of. That's what good literature does that.
Right.
It builds empathy and compassion by putting you in a perspective that you would never otherwise have access to, if they can do it well, you know? And that's the magic of really good literature.
It really is. I gotta ask you one thing though, Brett.
Yeah.
Did you like Murakami because Kami's in it?
Well, no,
got you.
but he does.
fucking got you.
He does have a Marxist truck driver character in that book, and it's fucking awesome.
All right.
So read Kafka on the Shore.
Roasted and toasted.
It's fucking good. But my point about writing is like, if you're listening to this, try it. Like, set some time aside every day to just write anything. It could be like stream of consciousness journaling. You could try your hand at poetry. You could write short stories. You can just write your political thoughts into like essay form just to get them out there and look at them over again. But like meditation, like spending time in nature, and like reading, writing can also become a sort of meditative process that gets you into the present moment, gets you into a flow state, ideally, and that gets you away from the constant dopamine casino of all the screens and apps and everything like that, and where you can find your own voice. And especially for young people, you know, we often talk about how do you know yourself? How do you come to understand who you actually are? And there's lots of answers to that question. But getting your thoughts out and trying to express yourself creatively and seeing what happens when you try to do that, that's a core way to do that. And if you're a young person, especially if you've grown up in the world of just having a phone to like every moment of boredom you can escape, I would highly encourage you not only to read and spend time in nature and try meditation, but try your hand at writing. You don't have to be good. You don't have to write for anybody. You don't got to create a blog or turn it into your personality or make it your career, but you can just engage in the creative process and see what comes out. And I think it's going to be super generative and edifying for anybody who does it.
But you know why I think it's healthy for the mind?
Why?
Is because writing, the act of writing, being a writer, doesn't involve that much writing. You know what it mostly is? Staring at a screen or sitting back and thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you're coming up with stuff. Like the actual clickety clack. Maybe if you like put out novels and stuff like that. But the clickety clack is not that much of it. What it really is just going, I'm thinking about this sentence.
And sitting back, like, how do I say this?
That's why, one thing, just quick aside, I'm smoking cigarettes. It's so hard to put them down because it's such a perfect thing to go outside when I'm writing something because it gives me something to kind of do.
Think
and
about?
Just think and sit and think. But that's what a lot of writing is. Writing is it's not writing, it's thinking. Mm-hmm. You just sit there and you just like kind of like look at a screen like you're a crash test dummy and you're just like, okay, that. Yeah. And then you type it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned cigarettes being something that It's this
They're
ritual.
good for you.
It's this ritualistic thing you do with your body, so your mind can be liberated to think. And I feel like walking does that too. Your body walks.
Yeah, you should probably smoke.
You get in. It's way healthier than smoking. You get into a loop, a certain sort of, what is it called? A melon?
Marlboro Reds.
No, what is it called when it goes ding, ding, ding?
Metronome.
Metronome.
Marlboro Reds.
When you start walking, you become a metronome. Your body is engaged in this repetitive, ritualistic activity, and your mind all of a sudden starts coming up with thoughts and ideas, and it's very, very helpful.
And then you find yourself in flavor country.